Good morning, Rebecca Vigas, the writer whisperer here. It's a rather gray day in South Central Kentucky. We are expecting snow at any time, and we are under a winter storm watch for 3 to 6 inches. So, think about where you are in your world and how would you describe it? Today, I've gone back to Joel Saltzman. If you can talk, you can write. This one is called Now I Know What I Should Have Said. You're at a dinner party when someone makes a thoughtless remark and stomps across your psyche. Humiliated, you wish you could cut him to the quick, but your mind goes blank. So you sit there, stewing in frustration. Driving home, you grow angrier by the minute. Damn, I wish I'd said something. Finally, getting undressed, it hits you. That's what I should have said. With rewriting, that's what you can say, even if it takes you 3 days to come up with a spontaneous comeback. Truth is, even the best writers seldom get it right the first time. Actually, that's not quite right. What I should have written was even the best writers never get it right the first time. No writer gets it right the first time. There are subsequent drafts. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Truth is, even the best writer, oh, wait. Instead, they say to themselves, okay, 80% of what I've just written is not very good, but 20% is. And it's the 20% more, and it's 20% more than I started with. As Ernest Hemingway so eloquently put it, the first draft of anything is shit. The trick, and this is essential, is to see that 20% or even 10% success rate is absolutely par for the course. Even 5% can serve as a solid benchmark, pointing you in the right direction. To put the gospel in a nutshell, writing is rewriting. Did I say that? Yep, that's all it is. The more wax you take at it, the more you're willing to work and rework your material, the better it gets. We'll get to more detailed discussions of rewriting later on in this book, which, we're only in chapter 7. We have a ways to go. For now, keep in mind that a rotten first attempt is a great way to start. That's just how it works. You start with stinko, work really hard, and if you're lucky, it gets less stinko as you go. Remember, the experienced writer says, "This is shit, I'm on my way." The novice writer says, "This is shit, I'm on my way to my grave." I have never thought of myself as a good writer. Anyone who wants reassurance of that should read one of my first drafts. But I'm one of the world's greatest writers. James A. Michener. Describing a first cut of Woody Allen's Annie Hall, film editor Ralph Rosenblum called it a chaotic collection of bits and pieces that seemed to defy continuity. Just for a moment, recalled co writer Marshall Brickman, I had a sense of panic. We took a chance and it didn't work. We will be humiliated. If we took a chance and it didn't work, we will be humiliated. Is there any way to stop the project? Eventually, about 45 minutes of film were cut. New scenes were written, and Annie Hall went on to win 4 Academy Awards, including Best Screenplay. Thank God the public only sees the finished product. Woody Allen. Okay, so 2 things that I have pulled out from today. 1, the more you write, the better you get. Morning pages. Do the morning pages. Write your 3 pages back and front every morning. The more you write, the better you get. I am a case in point. My first book was good. It was not outstanding, but it still sells. And of course, it's in a second edition. My first book was good. It's already reached over that 200 mark that most beginning authors hit and then never sell books after that, or maybe 1 or 2. Okay. It had 2 beginnings, 2 different beginnings before I finally hit the one I needed and nailed it. The first one, it went just so far and it went and it died. So I had to look at my character again. I'm sitting in a restaurant in Nashville, Tennessee, having breakfast. Yeah. And I start writing again. Breakfast is over. I'm heading back to my motel. I run into one of my students. She's there with her grandparents. Imagine we're staying at the same motel. I go back to my motel. I pull out my writing. I write some more, and it goes. Psst. That's in April, March or April. It was spring break. It's not until November that I pick up this piece of writing to do it again. And all of a sudden, I know what the big secret is. That's when I can start and do it justice. That's when I can look at my character and say, this is why. I know why, and eventually I'm going to know who and what was behind her death. It's amazing how that happens, but you've got to stick to it. I was writing. What was I writing? Something Borrowed, Something Blue. The last in the Macy series. And I took time out to take a James Patterson writing course. And I wrote a book for that. My dad read the book when it was finished because I always gave my parents a copy. And he said, He thought it was the best book I'd ever written. Okay, there were 3 standalones. There were 3 um in the series so far. There were 2 spin-offs. There was my poetry book. There was my self-help book for teens and tweens who think they want to get pregnant. 10 books. And it's the 11th one, he tells me, is the best I've ever written. Wow. That means my writing's improved somehow. And I love that it's improved. But it's because I didn't give up. It's because I do my morning pages every day. It's because I look at my work and say, this is not working. You have to fix this. Because if I don't fix it, nobody else can. If I send it to my editor and my editor says, this isn't working, I can make some suggestions, but read this chapter again because it's not working. And so I do that. And I go through the book 4 or 5 times. I go through it with my own little red pen. I use purple or green or blue, but I still go through it. I give it to my editor. He goes through it and I get all kinds of comments. A lot of times he edits right on the manuscript because I email it to him. And then I go back and I print off his when he returns it to me. And I look for where he's made suggestions or he's found spelling errors or punctuation errors. Yeah. And it goes to my other editor. And guess what? She prints it out and hand writes right on her copy and returns it to me. When I have them both, I put the pages together, page 1, page 1, page 2, page 2. And I do the first edits and I flip it over and I do the second edits. Sometimes they're the same edits and I don't have to do them twice. So, what I want you to do for your writing prompt is take a piece that you're working on. It could be a paragraph, it could be a chapter, it could be a page. But take something that you're working on, read it out loud. Listen to what you're reading. You'll find you might have missed a word here or there. Read it to your spouse, your girlfriend, your best friend, if they're willing to listen. Someone whose judgment you value, because they are going to judge you. And go ahead. Watch their facial expressions. Are they interested? Are they bored? Are they waiting for the next page? If they're not interested or waiting for the next page or totally disappointed when you're finished that there isn't any more, you have work to do. I tested my first book out on 7th and 8th grade special needs students. I wanted to read something to them and find out if they thought it was worthwhile. Were they my target audience? No. They were the captive audience I had. And all they wanted to know is, who would do that? Why would they do that? Really? They were excited. And every day they wanted to know how many words I'd written. And they wanted to know how many pages I had. And they wanted to know more. I had the first 5 chapters when I read it to them. And they couldn't wait for more. Most of them own the book. Yep, they do. Most of them own the book. Because you see, I didn't read them the ending. Take yours out. Read it out loud to yourself. What can you do to make it better, more alive? Go back to my first or second episode a year ago and check out the word list I gave you on words to lose. Then go back and lose them because you want to write in present tense, not past. In past tense, you're still telling a story. You're not showing anyone what happens. In present tense, you have to be in the here and now, and the action happens, and people get excited. Find a critique group, a good one. One that will give you good feedback and then say, but in this part, you might want to do this. And if several have caught that same part where you might want to make a change, you need to look at that part. I spent from January to June in a writing group. 3 authors and a moderator. We were A, B, and C. I was C. We posted 5,000 words a week. And the other 2 authors and the moderator would go in and make comments and suggest changes. Because they did that, I have a superb book. I mean, this book was ready to go because I'd had 3 editors all the way through. And we met once a week to discuss the edits and why they felt they were necessary. I, in turn, edited the other two authors' 5,000 words every week. I have a copy of one of the books one of the authors wrote, and she was working on the second one and stopped. It was supposed to be a trilogy, and it was fantasy, and it was sit on the edge of your seat fantasy. And at the end of each chapter, there was a cliffhanger that made you want to turn the page, even if it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Those are the kind of books you want to write that people don't want to put down. That to me, that's priceless. I got an email from a friend who bought Something Borrowed, Something Blue, and she um, wanted me to know that it was good and she enjoyed it. And she'll be waiting for the next time my character, Macy McFannel, makes an appearance. And she will. Not as a part of the series, but she will in a standalone. The entire series was a standalone, it just had the same characters. So, rewrite means make changes, not just copy it over. You have to make changes, make it better. Happy writing.